judiciary, and the executive. And the fourth is the media, which is even enshrined in Nigerian constitution. So it means that the media is recognized constitutionally. So it means that the roles of the media cannot be taken as a second thought or an afterthought by any of the other arms of government and by the citizenry as a whole. That's why the paramount roles of the media cannot be overemphasized. So for me, as one of you, I would say that for me, standing before you wearing those two hats, though I'm wearing one cap now, you are seeing this one, the other one is under it. So this one that I'm wearing now is media, so the one of politics is under. So, and as the current spokesman of the Senate, that I'm a donation from you to the Senate. So this dual identity gives me that unique vantage opportunity, especially to be here, talking to you today, confidently, because I know the in and out of both the two sides. While the parliamentarian in me, I will always see the responsibility of an accurate, fair, and responsible reporting of sustaining democracy. I know a journalist in me will always see the importance of scrutiny and the independence of the media and making sure that we interrogate the system, either the executive, the judiciary, or the legislation. So, because of this, I see parliamentary reporting as not an ordinary bit. In fact, it is the most important bit of any bit that journalism can offer the citizens of Nigeria. And like my other said, and that we all know, that where there is no parliament, there is no democracy. Because parliament is what we call the democracy, because that is where the representatives of the people dwell. The executive, we only have maybe the president and his vice, the governor and his deputy. The rest are appointees. When you go to the judiciary, nobody is even elected. It's career. So nobody is not representative or representational of any kind of constituency. So it is who gets it that is there. But in the parliament, we are here on behalf of the people. The people sent us here. And so that is why it is pertinent to note that it is the parliament that makes the democracy. And so, like I said, parliamentary reporting then demands very consequential and sensitive reporting, and it requires intellectual depth and understanding of constitutional law, mastery of legislative procedure, and the grasp of political nuances. It also requires courage, independence, and the ethical compass to navigate partisanship and the ever-increasing pressures for sensational headlines. In a world where misinformation spreads faster than the truth, where truth and trust in public institutions is very fragile, and where technology has transformed the way news is produced and consumed, the practice of parliamentary reporting deserves renewed reflection. What I'm here today, therefore, examines the issues, the challenges, and the responsibilities of parliamentary reporting in Nigeria and beyond, with an emphasis on the unique democratic context of our country. To do so, it weaves together issue, theory, practical case studies, and recommendations. So for me, I just want to, in a question, analyze the role of the press in parliamentary reporting. It is we know that this is explicitly enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended. That's section 22. You don't have to read. This provision affirms the press as a central guardian of accountability. Its role goes beyond reforming. It is constitutional obligation to ensure that governance remains transparent and responsible. This is why the press has often been referred to as the fourth realm of the fourth estate of the realm. In the parliamentary context, journalists act as a vital bridge between elected representatives and the citizens. The people cannot all sit in the gallery of the Senate. They rely on journalists to carry debates, motions, and legislative decisions into the public sphere. When parliamentary reporting is done with rigor and fairness, it strengthens democracy. But when it is sensationalized, distorted, or superficial, it diminishes both the parliament and the press. The constitutional responsibility also raises an ethical dimension. Unlike in purely commercial sectors of journalism, parliamentary correspondents must recognize that they are not merely content producers, they are not content creators. They are not doing skits. They are reporting accurately facts, truth, and what is happening and what has happened. It is not allegedly like any other reporting. When you are doing criminal reporting or crime reporting, you say allegedly, suspect. But the parliamentary reporting, you have to be accurate, you have to say it the way it is. So that is a very big difference. So the watchdog role of the press is not self-assigned, it is constitutionally guaranteed. This recognition also aligns with broader democratic theory, described the public space as a realm where citizens deliberate about governance through access to information. The media is central to sustaining this sphere. If parliamentary reporters falter in their constitutional mandate, then the deliberative foundation of democracy itself is weakened. Then we talk about how this evolved during the colonial era. So we knew that the president was used as a tool for resistance against the foreign rule. When we look at the African pilot established by Baba Azikwe, Nnamdi Azikwe, then it was to fight the colonialists and to gain independence for Nigeria. So then, but notwithstanding what was happening within the realm of those people who are our rulers then, were being reported, because if we didn't have newspapers like the African Pilot, then the reports and the reportage would have been coming from the skewed side of those people who are our colonial masters. So the West African Pilot started by Dr. Nnamdi Azikwe. Later, we started having other newspapers, independent newspapers like the Tribune. I think that was 1949. So to fight in this sphere to make sure that Nigeria get the independence. It was after it all of that newspapers started getting up. So this media then covered legislative councils with a focus on nationalistic aspirations, framing debates about self-rule in ways that mobilized the masses. At independence in 1960, parliamentary reporting entered a new phase. Journalists now had to cover a sovereign parliament, grappling with debates about federalism, resource control, and constitutional development. The First Republic press was marked by vibrancy but also partisanship, as many newspapers were aligned with political parties. Because then you find out that the Tribune, you know that for the progressives, then AG, the UPN. So then the other newspapers, all majority of big politicians then wanted to set up media houses in order to advance their own political causes. So that was the chaotic situation of the media and the reportage by that time. That was when our self-rule, quote and unquote, after all these military interregnums, so when it was fading off, Then, because a staccato will be in fact in the republic, then after maybe 2-3 years, the military will come, then we will come back there. So, but media then was coming up, they were evolving, and then their evolution then was tailored towards the interest of those people that established them. So, and the period that the military will come, we know what happened. That debates, media debates then was not about maybe parliamentary reporting or reporting of government activities per se, especially the ones that were negative. So we were reporting debates on the decrease then, and then there was this entrenched habit of opacity and censorship and the authoritarian control of information by the government of Nigeria then, because we were under military rule. So after 1990, from 1999, when we are and now where we are, the press faced the dual challenge of recovering democratic traditions while navigating a transformed media environment. Today, parliamentary reporting operates in the very context of democratization and commercialization and digitalization. Unlike their predecessors, they must cover, you today, you must cover a bicameral legislation in Nigeria in a 24-hour news cycle, with social media amplifying both their reports and the risks of distortion. Issues. Parliamentary reporting in Nigeria is fraught with unique issues that complicate the task of journalists today. We must agree to that. First, there is the complexity of parliamentary procedures, motions, clauses, and legislative instruments, which often contain layers of meaning that are lost without adequate understanding of constitutional and procedural frameworks. The risk of this reporting or trivializing procedures and proceedings is significant where reporters lack grounding in legislative processes. Like, at times, there could be a motion, maybe raised by a legislator, maybe there could have been maybe an erosion somewhere in the constituency, and a senator will just come up with a motion, maybe matter for very urgent importance, and then by the time the senator just comes out with it, and then debates, argument here and there, senator supporting, the following day you can even see it, banner reporting, Nigeria Senate stops erosion in Nigeria. I'm just using that one, just that is not the real headline. Let me just take one pertinent and very poignant example, a real example. That was this issue of school, establishment of a higher institution, so specialized institution. The senator brought it up. So the headline the following day is federal government or Senate, federal government to establish so university. So the people of that constituency, they started jubilating, whereas it's just a mere bill, first reading or second reading, so which has not even gone to public hearing or to even the committee matter. So they started jubilating. Then after jubilating, so they thought it has already been established, and you know that it put the senator into a lot of troubles. I happened to share part of it because it happened in my own area. So they thought it had been established. So after some time, maybe 2-3, after about 3 years, that no other institution was forthcoming. Then very close to the local government where that happened, where the people jubilated, a school now, a higher institution was established. Then the people they went a wire that the school that was already established for them had been taken fraudulently by another person to another community. And I personally was the person that they thought had taken it away, and by that time I have not even resumed as a senator. We have just concluded our election. Then I had not even been sworn in as a senator, so I was just embarrassed. How? Because they now started brandishing the news item of the establishment of that school earlier, that yes, it was Adaramodu. Then I was not behind Senator Adaramodu. I was still in the House of Representatives, and I didn't know whether any school like that. But when they started showing me that this school has been established, but we have been putting our leg on it, so we did not allow the vice chancellor or the provost to resume. So immediately they voted for me, and I became senator. They just changed it, even while, and it was done in April, and I was to be sworn in June. So the community carried placard against me. I said no. They said no, it has already been reported. I now started telling them, when a senator or a representative brings up a bill, that does not make it a law. It will still go through so many processes and stages. And in fact, after leaving the legislative arm, it will still go back to the executive, because it is the prerogative of the executive to even establish schools, because they are the ones who are going to budget for it and bring out the money. It is not going to be the legislation. So I was, even all those explanations, even those people, elites that knew it because of politics and partisan politics, so they refused to agree that no, that's just an afterthought. That's just an afterthought. Why was it immediately it was elected that just that school just went to its own town? So those are areas whereby legislative parliamentary reporting that we need to dwell seriously on, informing the public, letting them know that yes, these are legislators, these are your representatives, but they have their specified rules of making laws, doing oversight, and intervene for their constituents and constituencies. And so, and that one will take me to another. Many of our constituents, when the bridge is dilapidated in our area, they will be calling you that look at the senators, the local government. The bridges here are not good, oh. The roads are bedeviled with potholes. You will just be asking, do you have a budget? Do you do budget? Is that your duty? But they believe that you are the one that is supposed to, and the media, at times we just dodge it. We just allow the people to pillory the legislator and call him a lame dog, a sleeping legislator. So we just allow him or her to be seriously pilloried, and then we say, oh, this one is lazy, too laissez-faire. How can this one be representing us when there is no big hospital in the constituency, there is no good big roads, dual carriageway in the constituency? And at times the social media, because it is your reporting that can even change the narrative of the social media. We know that it is not, majority of these are not being reported like that by the traditional media. So the social, which is the fastest, and that is where the majority of Nigerian youth draw their own information. They don't even cross-check. They don't even look at it. If they say that somebody has swallowed a bottle, they will just take it like that. We know he can swallow it. You will not interrogate it that because when he opens his mouth is very big. So the buccal cavity is very wide. So it's true that he would have swallowed it. So we don't. So that is one of the challenges. That is one of the issues that is seriously maybe bedeviling from our own side in reporting from the parliament, and again, we found out that there was sometimes I was called to come and answer some questions on television. So they now said that somebody, it was in the media, that somebody said the legislators that we had, I think, 6 trillion naira projects in the budget of 14 trillion naira capital component of the federal budget. I said, so the legislator made almost 50% of it. And I said, in what form? They said constituency project. I said, what is the name of constituency project? That go and look at the budget. Constituency project will be written ZIP. Most of us, even the media, will know. But at times we will just gloss over it, we will not bother. Even when the public is piloring the legislators, that yes, they are the ones who are taking out the money. Our constituency project here and there. I will tell them that as a senator, I will be only allowed to nominate projects that is not worth more than 225 million naira. My predecessors are here. That is not worth more than 225 million in the budget as ZIP. And why were we allowed that? Is because federal government is a behemoth. It's big. It's situated in Abuja. I'm from Ilawe Ekiti. In my local government, I have Ogoto, I have Ibarodo. I have so many farmsteads. Is it possible, if they want to grade the farmsteads of Aba Alagbede in my local government, or Aba Osogbotedo in my local government, or Aba Johnson in my local government, that in Abuja they will remember that there are some farmsteads that they are bearing that name. So that small window will now be the ones that we will nominate as projects to be done by NMDA, so that they will feel the presence of the federal. And it is majorly, and it is majorly all these little touches that are the touch of the federal in our constituencies. And now, my honorable minister is here. He knew that while the executive will be making budget, we always start going from ministry to ministry. I have come to my honorable minister just a few months ago that, Oga, please, what can you do for my constituency? So if it is done, it will be that I have facilitated that to my constituency. It doesn't mean that it comes through me or it comes directly from my own pen. I have facilitated it because of the way our constituents will pillory us, because they cannot make a distinction between a lawmaker and an executive person, because they cannot make that distinction. They think you are in government, a whole senator, look at it, a whole senator, the schools is a constituency, is dilapidated, a whole senator, and there are so many, we count 1,000 potholes before we get to his house, a whole senator, the bridge there is one side good, one side bad, a whole senator. So then we'll be running from pillar to post to all the agencies that are going to do this. So I think from the media, from our parliamentary reporters, we still want you to go ahead and let the citizens know the limitations of the legislators in reporting again, even our procedures through the standing rules. Our media people, the reporters, we are supposed to have the knowledge of the standing rules together, so that when somebody failed to observe the rules, maybe standing rule says that you cannot speak where it's not assigned to you officially, and since section 60 has already established it that we are going to be guided by our rules, making it constitutional. And then that rule is that if you are supposed to sit on seat number 10 and you go and sit on seat number 13, you will not be recognized by the presiding officer, and somebody insisted that he must be recognized, and on the basis of that a lot of katakata came up, and then we are now looking as if we don't know, and somebody who refuses order 6 is now citing order 10, and we know that in primary school when you are reading 1, 2, 3 you get to 6 before you get to 10, and we don't bother. So, and I believe that these are issues, challenges, responsibilities of all of us, because there are some things that no matter how well, how much lexicography that Yebadamodu can espouse, the public will tend not to believe. They say, what do you expect him to say? We know now. Yes. They will defend themselves now, those guys. Nothing beneath them. Then if it comes from this channel, the channel of truth, the channel of conscience of the public, then if it is analyzed, then it goes for it that public, they are much likely to oblige to know that yes, the National Assembly is not a banana republic where there is no law. Because if it means that I can sit anywhere, one morning I will just come, I will love where the Senate President is sitting. Because yes, so this is Parliament, I can sit wherever now. But because that is absolute, unethical, unconstitutional, illegitimate. That's why I was apportioned. And where I was apportioned is not permanent. That's why there are no lockers. So that you will not say that you have forgotten your items inside the locker. There's no locker. You know, do you have any locker in the chambers? No lockers. So it means that every seat that you are is temporary. You can be changed any day, any time. So those are some things that, because the reporter in the legislation is as educated as the legislator that is in the chambers. Even at times, because I know many of you, at times you even quote sections of our rule books. There was a time I was on television. Thank God that I know it. The lady just asked that question. Okay, your section 63. So I think your section 63. What does it? I said, I now read it offhand. She didn't know that I will. She thought that I was mentally lazy. So she didn't know. So it means that many of us too know all these things, but we have to push it out there and let the public know that yes, this is it and that is it. And we have to let the public know that most often when we talk of, because at our committee levels we don't normally give report as much as we do to plenary, and it is at the committee levels that oversight functions are seriously emphasized. That is where oversight functions are seriously emphasized, because at committee levels, that's where we pick either the MDAs or petition from the public or interest of the public. That's where we treat it, and we have time to sit down to interrogate and interview at times and take decisions. And most often when the parts of even committees are brought to the parliament, at times we report it as decision. And Senate set to, National Assembly set to, whereas we don't set to. It is just a motion, it's just a resolution. And then we should let the people know the difference between resolutions and bills that we have passed. Resolutions are suggestions, they are advisory at times. The bills are the laws. And until the president assents, or it comes back to this parliament, and then maybe the parliament over, yes, then that is when it becomes law. And like, for example, many of our people out there, they don't know the difference between first reading, second reading, and the third. So once it is first reading, that prose reading, we take it. Okay, you tell one. I thought, and I don't want to talk. So yeah, yes, access to information. So, and I believe, let us utilize the Freedom of Information Act of 2011 seriously, and ensure that we get information as much as we do, but the little limitations, which are passive limitations, is that when we do reporting, and then there is that kind of thinking, because we are in political era. Definitely, we are in the National Assembly. We are from different parties. Then Party A, we want even something that we injure Party B, so that during election, Party B will not be able to make it. So there is the tendency of that Party A person to want to reach out and say, report it down, use this slang or use this language, and then blah 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 blah. And when it is done like that, when you are coming to Party B next time, or the Party B person next time, to ask for information, he or she is likely to feel very good. So that's why the media must be very dispassionate. Report it the way it is. Say it out the way it is. And let the people know that yes, that is how it is. So, finally, part of the difficulties that you are facing is that today, social media has almost taken care of so many things. And then even adverts, especially the print media, is dwindling because of the platforms, social media platforms that are all over there. So definitely funding the media is a bit very low. And then these are challenges that you are facing. And so finally, after finally, so finally, after finally, we are recommending that we in the parliament, we are going to ensure that from my own office, and I have the mandate of the Senate President, Distinguished Senator Godswill Obota, that we are going to sit down with the leadership of the press corps to ensure that not periodically, at least quarterly, that we are going to be engaging you in a retreat, so that we will bring in scholars, bring in experienced legislators to come and dialogue, at times even teach us, and then inform us of how we can improve on the reportage of the parliament. So the Senate President said I should convey that one to you, that coming from this, that we are not going to allow this one to be the only one now, and that before we close for the year, another one will be held, which is going to be sponsored by the Senate. Clap now. So, Benny. So I don't know whether you have heard something like that before, but this is the first time that I'm saying it. like my predecessor said, he said there was a time a legislator who went ahead and said something, and he said something else, and then when they were asking questions, he said, "I'm the one who is speaking for the Senate." Like this one, so believe it. He said that person should believe him. So now I'm the one who is speaking for the Senate. So believe it. So then we from the needs. That's our legislative institution. So and other university, other institutions, we are recommending that there should be a kind of course which is basically going to be legislative reporting, so that we can be sending some of our colleagues to go and have refresher courses in the legislative report. So with this, let me just take. So in conclusion, democracy thrives only when parliament and the press operate a responsible synergy. Parliamentary reporting is not simply another newsroom assignment. It is a sacred democratic duty. So let me end the point of profound appreciation to the Senate press corps for inviting me to speak at this important event. Your commitment to deepening intellectual discourse and building the professional capacity of parliamentary reporters through this one-day gathering is truly commendable. By creating a platform for dialogue, reflection, and training, you are not only strengthening the quality of journalism, but also enriching our democracy. On behalf of the Nigerian Senate, I assure you of our continued support and partnership initiatives that enhance openness, accountability, and professionalism in the coverage of legislative works. And so I want to thank you for inviting us and to make this a small remark, and that you should remember that we still have Order 40 subsection 1 that says that any matter that is in court that is under this thing, that we shall not entertain it. Thank you very seriously.